take your life seriously.
Welcome to the Beyond Limits podcast. I'm finally getting the name right. Mark's happy with that. So today we're in a different location, as you can see. We've come down to Gauntlet Fight Academy.
In Ealing.
In Ealing,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Boom. Neto, the head coach here, has let us use the gym. He's going to be coming on in a second as well and telling the story, which is awesome. I first heard that when I was blue belt. We'll go into more detail about that story. But first of all, we've got the owner of FundMEntal. Founder.
What do you call it?
Original founder, I guess, of FundMEntal. Yep.
I've heard this is the first time I've come into contact with your organisation. It's awesome for a start, that's what I'll say. And it's amazing that you're coming into the jiu-jitsu space. We had some interesting conversations in the Q&A about how we know it's good for mental health subconsciously, but I think if you talk about it, me and Mark have these conversations about it, we sort of know it is good for us consciously, but a lot of people don't. And I think you're getting into the academies and doing the stuff you're doing, it's really going to start to spread that word. So could you just let us know a little bit about the organisation and what it is?
About FundMEntal and why we're here today probably is best to start with. So FundMEntal originally really started as an idea of mine about just picking up men's magazines and thinking either you get like a fitness magazine and the guy on the front cover is impossible to look like. They don't even look like that.
Yeah.
I keep telling the world that they might look like that for 5 minutes, but they don't really look like that. Or you go to maybe some other magazines and it's expensive clothes, holidays. We're taught to like aspire to a lifestyle that we might not necessarily have in these magazines. So where is the kind of alternative? And also where's the kind of process that if you talk about something or you write about something, you think, is this good for another man's mental well-being? Like it doesn't rule everything out, but like, let's take the controversy out a bit. Let's just think, does this develop you? Can you grow with it? Is it something that's going to help you achieve your goals? So that's what FundMEntal is all about. And me and my friend Joe, and we're working together on this, and to turn it not into just a website, but also a live events organisation. Eventually an entire religion called FundMEntal. No, I'm joking. And then very, very early on in this process, I started talking about this on LinkedIn, and it became very popular on LinkedIn.
Nice.
It was the UK BJJA that contacted us directly and said, there's a real resonance between the sport and what we're talking about. And immediately I thought, what are they going on about? Because it's on the face of it, an aggressive, masculine, tough, rough sport. But then I remembered what it was like when I was at the gym, and a gym in London, not plugging it, and there was a lot of wrestling, grappling going on in one corner. There were classes with women in the other corner, and then there were all of us pretending to work out. And then the women were having a laugh. In general, I'm not completely saying women have got everything sorted, but they were talking to each other, having a laugh, doing some kind of HIIT class or dance class or something like that. The BJJ men were talking, sharing. I just noticed it just before we started this, by the way. The kind of people that are having a little grapple, and then they just sat back because they were tired, and they were having a conversation. And then when you look at the gym, everyone's got their headphones on, everyone's looking at their phone, no one's really paying attention to anyone because they don't want to really share the experience. And I thought, if FundMEntal can be a gym for the mind, I've just invented that. But that's what I see this sport as being. And yeah, admittedly, I think like I'm not particularly sporty myself, but I do group HIIT classes and I get a bit of that camaraderie from that. And there's a bit of a community there. People get it, they're doing five-a-side after work. It's such a better way for men to develop relationships, talk about stuff, and it doesn't have to be like really deep and scary. It's just where conversations between men are kind of what FundMEntal's about. And we all face challenges. I say that looking at Mark. I'm sorry. We all face challenges of different degrees, and probably the best way forward is to talk about it. So that's why FundMEntal came about. That's why we're here today with you guys, and it is so funny because if I say to people that don't do BJJ, I don't know, out there, we were just remarking on it. Joe, who's watching us on the other side of the camera here, just remarking on the level of conversation, the level of, let's not overblow it, civility between people, politeness, trust, respect that I can see that you probably don't see in kind of a lot of aspects of life when it comes to men, for sure.
No, I think that's something that we find, haven't we? The conversations like during the rest rounds or whatever we're doing are quite powerful.
Sometimes I've been training before. I've intended to train, roll, spar, whatever for an hour, and I've done 2 rounds, and the rest of the hour has been spent talking. I guess I'm not a scientist or anything like that when it comes to, and I'm not that smart when it comes to the body chemistry and stuff, but I know that certain chemicals are released when you're exercising, particularly in a sport like this where there's a bit of a survival instinct that kicks in, and it just makes you more susceptible to talking. Like even when we were down there just now, and we're initially listening to instruction, and I'm sat there and I'm thinking I'm trying to take it in, and I did 1 round of drilling, and I don't know, the chemical release, whatever it is, made me want to be out front talking more than it did sitting listening. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'd say that's like adrenaline. What is that really about? It's about making, I don't want to talk to caveman here, it's about making us more alert. So adrenaline comes when a moment of either sort of danger or fitness, or we've got to face a challenge. So I think our communication completely improves.
Yeah, 100%.
Because in a moment of that kind of stress, you need to communicate with somebody with you, because you could be either escaping from something, or you just, you really... And I felt when we just did a talk downstairs and the room was silent, people were not restless. It's not like 5-year-olds in a school assembly, but do you know what I mean? People weren't moving because they were focused into it. So
yeah, I do quite a lot of public speaking, and I've done it for well over 10 years, and you still get nervous, but I always find that if maybe I'm on stage at 10 o'clock in the morning, that gives me a bit of time before to go to the gym and train.
Yeah.
Always deliver better if I've been in train before, rather than sat in my hotel room, maybe rehearsing, going over in my head what could go wrong and how this has got to be perfect. I just go out there and my mindset is, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I'm pretty good at it. Go and have a workout, get that chemical release, go out there, perform. It's like being an actor in a way, and then you leave. So
no, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Actors, not only do they warm up physically because they're doing a physical performance, but they warm up for that very reason, because it gets them ready to attack it. There's a famous newsreader, I'm not going to name her, but you'll work it out. She literally runs to work before she does the evening news. I work at the BBC, so she runs quite a few miles, but that, she is on it as soon as she walks into the office.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
It just shows you the power of exercise.
Yeah, and
there's definitely something there, isn't there?
Yeah, I wish more doctors would prescribe exercise.
Yeah, I think so.
Instead of pills.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, for all sorts of ailments. Just to say to people, get to the gym, build a community, get some like-minded people around you, and things will get better.
I agree with you. I wish, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No.
I wish gyms were more welcoming and thought about that kind of holistic thing. So it's a thing, gyms that look after your body and mind. And I think the better gyms are the ones that aren't all male spaces, because it kind of creates a different atmosphere, and the kind of you're just sharing this stuff. And exercise, I was never very sporty when I was a kid, ever. My dad was a semi-professional footballer, and he just used to beat me at football in the garden all the time. So in the end, I just gave in, sort of, okay. I'm not doing this. No, I'm kidding. Talking to my therapist about that. No, but now I do I think I do fitness mainly just because of the kind of feeling you get sharing that experience.
Yeah.
And this sport, and I think does create that. Probably more difficult, like if you're like a swimmer or a runner, which is very solitary, isn't it? But
yeah. I do think with any group you've got, though, there's that sort of sense of everyone's trying to improve themselves in some aspect, whether that's fitness or, like on the mats, for example, we're all trying to get better at the martial art, and that sort of binds you together a little bit as well. I think the obviously endorphins and the adrenaline, that all plays into it. but I do feel like we talked about it downstairs. The trust element in BJJ is really high, and also the first couple of years is like a weeding out process where you just get absolutely smashed, and unfortunately, not a lot of people survive. Some people do. But the people that don't normally survive, what I think is they're not ready for that martial art yet mentally. And the people that do survive, they can be from all different walks of life. It's a bit like the military. You were saying about the training, and you both were talking about it earlier on, where you have that training aspect where if you want exercise, and you get to see everyone's character when they're tired, the lowest. And sometimes the mats are like that. You get people that are tired, they're low, you've had a crap day, you don't even want to feel like training, and then someone that's a lower belt might tap you out, and you're like, oh. But it's sort of, it brings you closer together.
Do you ever get used to that? Like getting tapped out by lower belts?
No. At the minute I'm injured, so this is why he's taking the mic. All right, tore my...
what did you do?
I tore my knee ligament last week in Vegas. I've been going on about it, and I will be going on about it for a long time.
What, did you fall off a fruit machine?
Yeah, well, I was thinking on knee bar.
Somewhere happened on a blackjack table.
Yeah, and then I got my black belt like the day after, so it's almost like, I can't train for a year, but it's all good. It's all good. I'll be back. Kicking his ass again.
This is resilience, but again, another great part of this sport is, if you do survive, I think it's the first 6 months are the hardest. I got tapped up by a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
When I was 26 in the first 6 months. But this is the thing that this sport really does encourage, is that resilience to just keep losing, keep getting beaten, keep tapping out, but keep coming back.
But I was really struck by something said downstairs, because I mentioned the word vulnerability, and you have to show you're vulnerable. And then, of course, Dan said, didn't he, that but you don't want to be vulnerable. The whole aim of it is not to show your vulnerability and to show your strength. But at some point you have to admit and submit and be vulnerable. And I thought, actually, what I've been thinking about it in the past hour, and what's so important about that is all our lives. We do. Let's not be ashamed of the fact that we want to do really well. We want to win. We want to be strong. We want to beat that other person. But if you do it in an atmosphere of trust and respect with somebody, then that is a lesson for all our lives. And I think there are obviously people out there that want to win, want to do well, want to beat the other person, and they're not using trust and respect, and they're just being complete and utter. Whatever, if we swear on this podcast.
No, it's all good. I do think that you have to as well look at yourself and admit where you are vulnerable, and then you look at that and you get better in that area, for example. So say if I'm always getting smashed by an armbar, then I've got to go to my coach and say, look, I'm getting armbarred all the time. What do you think I can do to improve it? And that's a sort of an analogy for life. When you are vulnerable in different positions, it's fine to be like that. There's a way around it. You just got to find the skills that we need to sort of get past that. Is that exercise? Is that setting goals like we use? Is that finding purpose? It doesn't matter what it is. So I feel like it shows you the vulnerability, especially if you do competition. You do competition, and if you get like triangled, which is a submission straight away, or you get smashed, it's from front of your family. Your kids are there sometimes. They're crying. You're like, it's all right. Don't worry. I'm fine. It shows you where you're vulnerable straight away. It's that instant feedback. Right, go back to the training room. Please, can I learn this new technique or whatever it is? So I think that's what it's really good at showing, is that vulnerability and leaning into it, not going like,
that is the leaning in. I think, what do I really know? But I read a lot about this. But men are leaning into the fact that we're not all great. We all are in this room, obviously, but we're not all great. We want to do better in many aspects, and that's what I just saying. At this session we've had today, if someone's just walked away with one little thing that they've thought about, then that's a big win. The fundamental big win for us. And to me, that the thing I really am walking away with is that kind of, don't be ashamed to try and be strong. And try and beat the crap out of somebody in a controlled, respectful environment. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to realise that, but that is the way forward, and that I'm sure we're going to do better, and we can weed out all the bad apples amongst us by being like that.
And I think you've got to admit you're weak as well at some stage, especially that first 6 months period to 2 years. Like, I used to believe I was tough before I started this martial art, and then I came in and there was accountants and children that were just choking me out, and I was like, I didn't know anything. So I think that weakness and admitting that. So it's about, I can be tough, but also, I'm probably not where I need to be now. Do you know what I mean?
Can't feel like, is that the lowest of the low, to be choked out by an accountant?
It is. From an infantryman, For someone in the
Lord.
different call, I wouldn't be happy. I'm pushed for time today,
Yeah,
so
no worries.
we want to just touch on where can we see you in the future? Where's it going to go?
You can see us everywhere, but our website is www.thisisfundamental.com. And sign up to that and you'll get regular updates. We have articles that go from mental health to sport to fitness to clothes to travel to personal experiences. We'll do anything we can.
Awesome.
And there'll be events that you'll get mailed. Don't unsubscribe from our mailing list. Just delete it if you're not interested, but wait for that email that you really want to see. And yeah.
Well,
Please.
we'll be on your events and stuff when we can.
Oh, we're on
and stuff.
Instagram. There we are.
Oh, okay.
Also, that is probably our main source of information too.
Cool.
And fundamental _live _.
All right, so make sure you all go and check it out, see what they're up to, see what the future holds. Get subscribed to that newsletter, and once you are, do not unsubscribe, or I'll set Ricky on you.
I wish, yeah, when I'm better. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Awesome.
Speak
Thank
soon.
you.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.